Gurren Lagann is perhaps my favorite anime of all time. I watched it at a time in my life when its message of believing in yourself was exactly what I needed to hear. As a teenager at the time, in the throes of self-doubt and uncertainty in who I was or who I wanted to become, this show seemed to have all the answers. It seemed to tell me that I could do anything, be anything, and that nothing was out of reach. And that sounds silly. I mean, how can a show about people piloting giant sunglass-wearing robots fighting talking animals be something that I was able to find answers in about my own identity? That's kind of the magic of the medium, of animation, of anime. It allows us to suspend our disbelief in ways that live-action TV series and movies struggle to do. Even at the most silly or emphatically unbelievable moments, animation allows you to believe in what you're watching in a way that supports and enhances the messages they deliver, and can in turn deliver messages with even greater impact, despite their sometimes nonsensical nature. And no one does it like Gurren Lagann. But how did we get here? And why did we end up in space? If you've watched an iota of Trigger's catalog, you'll no doubt have realized that a large portion of their work concludes in the vast emptiness of space. Gurren Lagann ends here, as does Darling in the Franxx, Kill La Kill, Space Patrol Luluco, Promare, and most recently CyberPunk Edgerunners, just to name a few. None of these shows necessarily present as sci-fi, or for 9/10 of their runtime even consider space as an element in which to tell their story. With the exception of Space Patrol Luluco, space is not even a setting in the same way that it is in a show like The Witch from Mercury or Cowboy Bebop. So, what's going on here?
I can show you the world.
Okay, so bear with me for a moment. Disney songs and more generally musicals operate on the premise of heightened reality. Songs in this medium exist to further the plot, explain what a character is thinking, and in most cases to simulate the heightened emotion of the characters performing the song. The idea being that the feelings and emotions inside the characters are so great, so heavy, that normal dialogue can't adequately do justice to the characters' emotions. They bubble up and explode dramatically and outwardly in the form of a song, and form the emotional peaks upon which the story is built. So let's apply this to Trigger. Their stories are not musicals, obviously, but they are banking on this element of heightened reality. Individually, characters within Trigger's catalog don't burst out into song when their emotions reach an insurmountable peak. Instead, they break out into combat. These are shonen action series after all. Fighting is the melody to which all the characters dance. The choreographed superhuman MMA matches are as much a battle of will and determination as they are a pure slugfest of eye candy and violence. Elsa's Let It Go is to Frozen as David vs. Adam is to CyberPunk Edgerunners. These are emotional high points of each character brought to light by the epitome of what each genre defines as a song. But what happens when the story itself hits that crescendo? When the overall narrative arc, despite all the minor peaks initiated individually by characters, coalesce into the final heart-pounding arc of the story? Well, Trigger takes us to space. To Trigger, space represents the narrative chorus of the story. It's a grand, operatic, beautiful cacophony of all of the pieces of the story, all of the individual songs, fights, dances coming together, building off of each other to form the emotional crest of the plot. Space represents the ceiling in which heightened emotion has reached its pinnacle. There is no grander stage, no grander song than the universe itself. And there's a real beauty in that. Space isn't a location to be conquered or explained away. To Trigger, space is a feeling. In a Reddit thread, Redditor Severus282 recalls having asked executive producer Kazuya Matsumoto, production manager Taguchi Shoichiro, and chief illustrator Mago-san about their tendency to end their stories in space. To paraphrase the post, Matsumoto responded that he didn't really know the exact reason why, elaborating slightly later on that space is romanticized in their shows for the limitlessness of it, and the fact that space to many represents unbound potential, reflecting much in the same way that their characters do. Simone went to space to break the shackles imposed on all of creation by the anti-spiral. 02 goes to space to save a planet that she's learned to love and the boy who's come to love her. And Lucy goes to space to fulfill a dream that David protected for her. Space is a place of limitless potential, an untapped expanse of creation upon which we know so very little, and a canvas to weave or impose whatever story you want into it. And like I told myself all those years ago, all it's waiting for is you. Thanks for watching.